Now, if any one figure within Israel can be said to have achieved prominence during the Gulf War, it was then Israeli Army spokesman, former Brigadier General Nachman Shai. Now, in the days before social media or even mass media here, Shai became for many Israelis the primary source of live information, or even the only one, while the country was under continual Scud rocket attack. And he did so well in calming a jittery nation's nerves that during that period he was dubbed the national Valium, and that was meant as a compliment. Well, joining us now from Durham, North Carolina, is Dr. Nachman Shai. Nachman, I think it's hard for me to even describe to young people how in those days, before social media and before when every Israeli politician would comment on everything, how you achieved that role as really the spokesperson during the Gulf War. Is that something that came about just by chance, by planning? How did that actually evolve?
Thank you, Calev. It's good talking to you. Tell them I was the vaccine. Tell them I was the vaccine, okay? And when people now get the vaccine, they got, relaxed and almost happy, right? Proportionally. So I was a kind of vaccine, but not one shot, not two shot, but altogether around 20 times, which is much too much when it comes to vaccines. But this was at the time the right proportion. How did it happen? Well, it's a long story, and we don't have too much time. But I was, as you said, the IDF spokesperson, chief spokesperson at the time, and we were preparing ourselves towards the war. And the question was raised: who is going to be the official voice of the government, of the military, addressing the people of Israel? And the political echelon, as well as the military one, was ready to give up on that and said, well, maybe we don't need, maybe we don't find someone. So let's see how it develops. And on the first night, the very first attack, the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when we were sitting in the underground headquarters of the IDF, watching the scene, and after the first round of missiles landing in Israel, I talked to the defense minister, the chief of staff, and I said, guys, I know you are preparing now for a retaliation strike. Iraq was on the map, of course, but who is going to take care of the Israelis? There were 6 million people living in the country. They were terrified. They were sitting in sealed rooms with gas masks on and didn't know what to do and how. So they said, okay, this is your role from now on, Nachman. So it happened on the spot. I got the message. I sat immediately in the corner using the phone system from underground headquarters, and I tried to talk to the Israelis. I did it once on my way to Tel Aviv, from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, but later on it became customary. It was part of the entire procedure. When missiles were shot towards Israel, I was the first one to be on the air on both radio and television, and I continue to serve as an official spokesperson for the entire evening or night. For a few hours, I was the single voice on the air. So this is something people cannot understand these days, because there are so many television stations, radio stations, social media, well, all kinds of communications. But at the time, this was possible. And I was lucky to be there, and I was not luckier to end the war without big disaster, which is extremely important.
Well, let's talk about that, Nachman, because also in those days, before everybody had a camera in their cell phones, it's hard to imagine how much of how influential for example, the military censor was, especially when it came to information about live developing incidents like those attacks. I imagine that must have been one of the most difficult choices that you continually had to make, how much information to give out.
Yeah, that's very true, Calev. But the position my position was very simple. And I told that from the very beginning, from the very first moment when I addressed the people on my way, on my cell phone from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. When I talked for the first time, I said, whatever I know, you're going to know. It's not going to stay in my anywhere. You should be well informed, updated every second, because I knew that many people's lives were dependent on those reports. People were under fire, were fearful, and not everyone knew how to set the gas mask on, and some people died as a result of it. Many people suffered from all kinds of fears and diseases. So the policy towards the information was give the information to the public as much as you know, even if it's partial, even if it's not full. Never lie. And that's the major principle that I can advise to anyone who finds himself in the same situation, including these days in Israel. Give full information to the public. Be transparent. Don't hide any information. That works well. That works the best. I don't see any other way to address people and keep them confident and trustful unless you tell them the truth, only the truth. Not always all the truth, because you don't know what you don't know, but at least share with them every piece of information which is at your disposal. That will make them complacent, and they will listen to you and follow your advice or your instructions. You call it whatever you want, but they will stay with you. That's the best policy.